While I was cleaning after dinner, my dad filmed me and posted, "Our family made hard at work. Some things never change." My siblings laughed. I just left and did one quiet thing. By morning, my phone loudly exploded. While I was scrubbing dried cheese off the lasagna dish, my dad stood behind me filming. I heard him chuckle right before he posted it. I didn't need to look to know what he was doing. Then came the caption loud enough for everyone to hear. "Our family made hard at work. Some things never change." My brother cracked up. My sister yelled from the couch, "So true." Someone added a fake applause. I didn't say anything. I just kept cleaning while they laughed at me like I was some running joke they'd all agreed on years ago. It wasn't new. It wasn't even surprising. It's always been like this. Since I was a kid, I've been the one who set the table, cleared it, did the dishes, took out the trash, vacuumed the floors, picked up the dog poop in the yard, and still somehow got called lazy if I missed one thing. My mom used to say I had a natural gift for cleaning, and she meant it like it was a compliment, like it was something to be proud of. My siblings? They never lifted a finger. When I'd ask why I had to do everything, the answer was always the same. Because you're the responsible one. That was code for because we know you won't argue. Last night was different though. Not because what happened was worse. It was just filmed. Posted. Made public. People saw it now. People who weren't in on the joke. I dried my hands, walked upstairs and shut the door. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I sat on my bed and stared at the wall for a few minutes, then opened my laptop and wrote one sentence on a forum I'd been using for a while under a throwaway account. A place where no one knew me but people actually listened. Imagine being treated like the maid in your own family, and when you finally say something they laugh harder. I logged off, shut the laptop and tried to sleep. I didn't check my phone. I didn't care. I figured I'd wake up and everything would be the same again, that I'd come downstairs, clean up their breakfast dishes, pretend nothing happened like I always did. I was wrong. The next morning my phone was vibrating nonstop. Over 100 notifications. My brother had tagged me in a comment under the video. "She's mad, oh." But most of the comments weren't laughing anymore. Someone had taken a screenshot of my post and matched it to the video. They figured out it was me. Now there were strangers in the comments calling my dad disgusting. Some were saying things like, "This isn't funny, it's just sad," and "She looks dead inside." I hadn't even looked at the video, but apparently people were zooming in on my face and slowing it down, saying I looked broken. It should have felt good. People finally seeing it. But it didn't, because then the text started. One from my mom, "Delete whatever you posted. You're making your father look bad." One from my dad, "It was a joke. Grow up." And one from my sister, "Elmo, you're seriously acting like a victim?" I didn't respond to any of them, but one voicemail made me sit up. It was from my grandmother. I hadn't heard from her in months, maybe a year. She and my mom fought a lot when I was younger, and after a while my parents just stopped bringing us to visit her. But her voice was calm and clear. She said, "Nicole, sweetheart, I saw the video. I saw everything. If you want to leave, come stay with me. No pressure. But I'm here. Always." I didn't even hesitate. I packed a bag. Just the essentials. Laptop, charger, a few clothes. I walked right past my mom on the way out the door. She asked where I was going and I told her I'd be back when they stopped treating me like a punchline. She said I was being dramatic. That I needed to learn to take a joke. I didn't answer. I just got in the Uber and didn't look back. By the time I got to my grandmother's house, the video had over 80,000 views. And I hadn't even begun to do what I was planning next. My grandmother opened the door before I even knocked. She didn't ask questions. Just pulled me into a hug and told me my room was still exactly the same. It was weird hearing that. My room. I hadn't been there in over a year and yet nothing had changed. The same faded quilt, the bookshelf filled with childhood paperbacks, the tiny photo of us at the pumpkin patch from when I was 8 still taped to the mirror. Felt like safety. We didn't talk much that first day. She made tea, gave me space and let me sleep. I didn't check my phone until late that night, and when I did it was flooded. More messages from my parents, now turning into guilt trips. My dad wrote, "You embarrassed me in front of my coworkers. I don't deserve this." My mom asked if I was trying to destroy the family. My sister sent a single emoji, the eye roll. The video was now over 200,000 views. A few local news pages had even reshared it. The comments were vicious. People were digging into old posts, speculating, picking apart my family dynamic like it was a reality show. I hadn't planned any of it. But I wasn't going to stop it either. And then something strange happened. I got a message from someone I didn't recognize. A woman named Lena. She said she used to work with my dad years ago. She said she'd seen the video and felt sick. She remembered how he used to joke about his little housekeeper daughter at the office, and how he'd once shown photos of me vacuuming in my pajamas at 13, thinking it was funny. I thanked her. I sat with that for a long time. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened a folder on my Google Drive that I hadn't looked at in years. It was called Receipts. I started it when I was 15. Just screenshots, voice recordings, things I saved every time they said something that felt off. I never planned to use them. I just needed to prove to myself that it was real, that I wasn't imagining how bad it was. There was one video that stood out. It was from a year ago, my birthday. My mom had forgotten it was even my day, and when I mentioned it, she laughed and said, "That's cute. Nicole thinks she gets a birthday off." I was holding a full trash bag in the clip. I posted it. Just that one video. I didn't even write a caption. It took off faster than I expected. Suddenly, people were commenting things like, "This is a pattern," and "This isn't just neglect, it's abuse." My inbox filled with others sharing similar stories about being treated like servants in their own homes. A few journalists reached out asking for interviews. I ignored them. That week, my grandmother cooked every meal with me. We watched old movies, painted her fence, walked her dog. I hadn't realized how loud my life had been until it went quiet. No passive-aggressive sighs. No guilt trips. No slammed doors. But my family didn't back down. The messages became constant. My mom begged me to stop. She said it was tearing them apart. My dad, after days of silence, sent me one line. "You need to remember who pays your college tuition." He shouldn't have done that. Because that's when I remembered the worst part. He'd made me write thank you letters every semester to him and my mom for generously funding my future. Even though I had student loans and worked 2 jobs. He wanted credit for helping when he'd barely done anything. That pushed me over the edge. So I did something I knew they wouldn't recover from. I posted a list. Every job I'd worked since I was 16. Every dollar I'd contributed. A screenshot of my loan balance. And at the top, for the people saying I owe my parents everything, here's the math. Broke something. That night the text stopped. But the damage was done. I wasn't planning to go back. I was just waiting for one final moment. Something that would make it permanent. That moment came faster than I thought. And it came wrapped in a holiday invitation. About a week before Thanksgiving, my grandmother got a call from my aunt, inviting the whole family to dinner at her place. My grandmother declined without hesitation. Then she looked at me across the table and said, "We're doing our own thing this year. I'm making your favorites." The invite wasn't surprising. What was surprising was that 2 days later my mom texted me personally. "We're all going to be at Grandma's. Can we just talk? Please." She didn't know I was already there. Living there. I didn't reply. Grandma said it was my choice, but I could see she hoped I'd say yes. Not for them. For me. She wanted me to see what happened when people like that lost control. When they had to face what they'd done without being able to twist the story. I told her I'd be there. That Thanksgiving, the house was warm from the oven by 10 a.m. She was making cornbread stuffing, baked mac and cheese, green bean casserole, the whole lineup. It smelled like childhood, but it didn't feel like it, because this time I wasn't doing dishes, setting tables, or getting bossed around like an unpaid employee. I was a guest. And she made that very clear. Family started arriving around noon. My cousins, my aunt and uncle, even a few neighbors. Everyone hugged me. Everyone said they'd seen the video. No one laughed. Then around 2 the door opened and my parents walked in with my brother and sister behind them. No one clapped. No one rushed over. The room just kind of went quiet. They spotted me almost instantly. My mom gave me this tight smile like we were in on some secret together. My dad nodded at me like this was all beneath him. My sister walked right past me without saying a word. My brother made a joke to her under his breath, but I didn't catch it. We all sat down around the table. It was crowded but calm. Until my dad picked up his fork and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "So, does Grandma's new maid do the dishes too, or does she get a holiday off?" Silence. My sister snorted. My brother laughed. My mom smiled like it was harmless. Then someone said, "What the hell is wrong with you?" It was my cousin's husband. A guy who barely spoke during family events, but his voice cut through the room. That opened the floodgate. My aunt shook her head and said they were embarrassing themselves. One of my cousins added, "You guys are obsessed with mocking her. It's creepy." Even my uncle said he didn't know the half of it, but the video made him sick. My mom looked stunned. She tried to explain, said it was a family joke, said they didn't mean it like that, and that the internet had twisted everything. But then Grandma stood up. She looked at my mom like she didn't recognize her. She said, "Get out." Everyone went dead quiet again. My mom stammered something, but Grandma didn't flinch. She said, "You mocked her in my house on a day meant for family. And you think I'll let you stay here and humiliate her again? Well, leave." My dad stood up like he was going to argue, but Grandma walked over to the door and opened it. They left. Just like that. No dramatic goodbye. No yelling. Just the sound of the door clicking shut behind them. Afterward, no one really talked about it. We finished dinner. We laughed. We passed food. For the first time in years, I felt like a part of the family instead of a side character. That night, when we were cleaning up together, Grandma said, "You know, you're not going back there, right?" I told her I knew. And I meant it. After Thanksgiving, everything changed. Quietly but completely. I blocked my parents' numbers. Deleted the family group chat. Took down the old photos from my accounts. I wasn't trying to make a statement. I just didn't want to carry the weight anymore. For the first time, I was living without feeling like I owed anyone an explanation. I thought they'd fight harder. But instead they started posting. First, it was my mom long dramatic Facebook updates about how families go through phases, and how sad it was when children let outsiders influence their minds. People were confused at first. Then someone commented, "Didn't y'all post a video calling your daughter the Maid?" And it spiraled. She deleted the post a day later. Then my sister jumped in, posting a TikTok with the caption, "When your sister thinks she's the main character, nail polish." She was folding laundry while pretending to cry and playing dramatic music in the background. It only got like 300 views, but the comments were brutal. Someone wrote, "Didn't you laugh when your dad filmed her like a servant?" She turned off comments. Then deleted that too. They didn't get it. This wasn't an internet moment for me. It wasn't about being the victim or making them look bad. It was just finally being free. At my grandmother's house, I started to feel like a real person again. She didn't treat me like I owed her anything. She didn't praise me for being helpful or scold me when I wasn't. We just lived. Peacefully. I helped when I wanted to. I rested when I needed to. We'd play cards, go for walks, cook dinner together. It was the kind of quiet I didn't know existed. But my mom kept pushing. She sent letters. Handwritten. Pages of them. One had a photo of me as a baby taped to it with the words, "You were ours before the internet got you." Another said, "No matter what you say or do, we'll always be your family. You can't erase blood." He was wrong. Because that's exactly what I was doing. I changed my emergency contacts, called my school and removed them from everything. I took their names off all my paperwork. I even emailed my student loan provider and had their names removed from optional parent access. I made sure they had no way to access or control anything about my life anymore. And I didn't feel bad. Not even a little. They had years to treat me like family. Years to hear me when I was quiet or hurting or just asking to be seen. They used every one of those years to reinforce the same message, that I was only valuable when I was useful. And now they didn't get to have me. Not even a piece. The weirdest part was how easily everything held without them. Nothing fell apart. Life didn't get harder. It got easier. Simpler. My grades improved. I slept better. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since high school. One night, my grandmother sat next to me on the couch and asked if I'd ever want to speak to them again. Not out of guilt, just curiosity. I told her the truth. Not if they were the same people. And from everything I'd seen since that video, they still were. So no, I didn't plan to go back. About 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, my dad sent an email. Just a subject line, "Time to move on." The message itself was short. "This has gone too far. You've made your point. Enough already. We're still your parents." That was it. No apology. No reflection. Just a command. I didn't reply. That same night, my grandmother and I were decorating the house for Christmas. We had this little fake tree she'd had since the 90s, and she pulled out a box of old ornaments. At the bottom was one with my name painted on it in glitter. Chipped and faded but still there. She handed it to me and said, "You decide if it goes on the tree this year." It hit me harder than anything my parents had said, because it was the first time anyone gave me that kind of choice. I hung it up. The next morning I got a call from my school. Apparently, someone had tried to access my financial aid account using a parent login. They were blocked, but a report was filed. I knew immediately who it was. My dad had used that before years ago, when I first applied for aid. I never removed it because I didn't think I had to. Now I did. I spent that whole day changing passwords, locking down accounts, updating every security setting I could find. And when I was done, I realized something I hadn't fully admitted to myself until then. They weren't just trying to guilt me back. They were trying to regain control. I told my grandmother everything that happened. She didn't act surprised. Just asked if I was ready to end it officially. I was. She helped me file a cease and desist letter. Nothing dramatic, just a formal warning to stop contacting me. He had a lawyer friend who reviewed it for free. We sent it certified mail. One to my dad, one to my mom. The only response was from my sister. She messaged me on Instagram with a screenshot of the letter and a line that said, "Are you serious? This is pathetic." I blocked her. That was the last time I heard from any of them directly. But a week later I got a call from my cousin, the one who stood up for me at Thanksgiving. She said my parents were furious, that they'd gone around telling the family I was legally disowning them and tearing the family apart. She also said that several people told them to knock it off. Then she said something I didn't expect. "They're scared." Asked of what? She said, "You finally made them powerless." And I realized, that's exactly what it was. They'd built a whole identity around controlling me, my time, my energy, my image. They thought I'd always come back. That guilt and obligation would win eventually. But I was done. For Christmas, my grandmother and I stayed in. Just the two of us. We baked cinnamon rolls, watched old Christmas movies, drank cocoa. I didn't check my phone once. No calls. No texts. Nothing. And for the first time since I was a kid, I felt like the holiday actually belonged to me. Like I didn't have to earn it. It's been almost a year since I left. Sometimes it still feels surreal. Like I'm waiting for some twist. A letter, a knock at the door, another viral post. But nothing comes. Not anymore. My parents finally got the message. The only people I still speak to from that side of the family are the ones who spoke up at Thanksgiving. My cousin texts me now and then. Her husband follows my art account. My aunt mailed me a book she thought I'd like. But no one asks me to forgive. No one pressures me to fix things. They know it's not my job. My grandmother and I have built our own version of home. It's not big or flashy. The dishwasher is loud and the heater clicks when it turns on. But it's peaceful. I help when I want to. She asks, not expects. He thanks me for things. She tells me she's proud. Sometimes I catch her just watching me when I'm reading or sketching, like she's trying to memorize the fact that I'm here and free and not fading into the background anymore. In the spring, she helped me set up a small art studio in the garage. Just a table, some storage, better lighting. I started painting again, not just for class or side commissions but for myself. I've sold a few pieces. People I don't even know have messaged me saying they connected with them. That feels bigger than anything I ever imagined. I still think about the girl I used to be. The one who dried her hands and left the kitchen in silence, who didn't yell or fight, who just reached a quiet limit and never went back. I'm proud of her. Because people like to romanticize big, loud escapes. Explosive arguments, dramatic exits. But the truth is, sometimes freedom looks like slipping out quietly, locking the door behind you and building something better without them. Sometimes it looks like cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning. A chipped ornament on a small tree. Laughter that doesn't sting. Sometimes it looks like being called Nicole instead of the Maid. I don't hate my parents, but I don't miss them either. And I've stopped explaining that to people. They get it, they get it. If they don't, they weren't meant to understand. My grandmother and I are doing just fine. We're more than fine, actually. We're free.